Sis, let me ask you this. How long have you been waiting? Waiting for him to call you back, waiting for him to commit, waiting for him to grow into the man that you see potential in, or even waiting for the relationship to feel different. Let me tell you this, patience is a beautiful thing, but somewhere along the way, many of us have confused patience with permission to be mistreated. The truth is, patience without a plan can quietly become self betrayal. You're not just waiting on him, you may be putting your dreams, your heart, and sometimes your worth on pause. That's why today we're talking about the price of patience in love, how to know when waiting is wisdom and when waiting is a way of abandoning yourself. One of the first things that came to my mind when it comes to patience and how we're looking in these relationships and is, are we waiting in wisdom or are we waiting and it's going to be used against us in some way? It is the silent cost of time. What do I mean by that? Every season that you wait in limbo is a season you cannot get back. Every season that you wait in limbo is a season that you cannot get back. And sometimes what feels like just waiting is actually shaping your future. Let me tell you this that I found. The average woman spends 1.5 to 2 years in uncommitted relationships before leaving. 1.5 to 2 years in uncommitted. This is a situationship. I talked about situationships last time. If you have yet to watch that episode, then check that one out after you check this one out. Because again, I am not about making it about the other person. The other person has their own flaws and the things that they have to work on, that ex-partner of yours. What I am, honestly, what I'm trying to get you to understand is the part and role that you are playing in why your relationships are going the way that they are going. If you are going into this uncommitment where you're just going along with his flow, in this case where you are just wasting a lot of time without the clarity, without the titles, that's what we talked about last week. This is going into now you just wasting a whole lot of time. And I don't want you to be one of those people next year or 5 years that say, I wasted my best years. I gave him my childbearing years and he never wanted children, or I had children with the wrong person. Like all of those things can be, you can get away from all those things by making better choices. Now, all of us have made some dumb choices, me included. All of us have made some choices where we're like, dang, I wish I would have done that better, me included. However, if you're listening to me today, you have the opportunity to change your life and situation around. Specifically, when it comes to the men that you are attracting, the men that you are allowing to take up space, the men that you are allowing to just waste your time, all of that becomes a choice to yourself, because you can't say that you don't know the information. There's so much information out here nowadays. Now it's up to you to take the information that you are receiving from podcasts like this or radio shows like this and apply it to your life. If things don't feel right, I'll talk about the intuition and the discernment as well as your gut feeling all the time. If something is not in alignment, it doesn't feel right, even if you can't put your finger on it, sis, it is time to make an informed decision. It is not just waking up highly emotional and saying that I want to move on from this person, from this situationship, without having some data. I talk about collecting the data, because that's exactly what you're doing when you are dating. You're not just going willy-nilly into these relationships or situationships and not gathering what you need. What I would rather you do is be very intentional about how you are dating so you can get the outcome that you want. It doesn't mean that you're going to get it per se, but what I mean by that is that you have a higher chance of getting what you want by having the clarity, by asking the tough questions, by not just wasting your time just to say that you are dealing with somebody today because you're scared to be alone tomorrow based off of how that conversation goes. You are standing in your knowing. You are showing up to say, this is who I am. Not in a snarky way, not with a bad attitude, not an F you. It is. That's where I'm at. This is where I'm at. And if you're not here, as I said before, and I will keep saying, it is okay if we are not on the same page, but it is up to me, the person that is collecting the data. It is up to you, the woman that is on the date, the woman that is trying to ask the questions, the woman that is trying to gather the information. Even if he doesn't answer your question, you have still gathered information. Sis, this is exactly why I created my quiz. What's blocking you from being soft in love? So you can really figure out what's holding you back, what's stopping you from truly seeing what's holding you back, so you can be clear when it's time to date once again. Why you keep attracting the men that you are attracting, why you keep repelling the men that you say that you want. If any of these things are resonating with you, before you move forward, look down below for the link to take the quiz today. I know that you can figure out what's blocking you. Not only will you receive your results, you'll also receive a 3-page action plan to take action to start changing things around. Take the quiz today. Now, let's get back to it. Even if you decide to have the what are we conversation, let's go there. What are we? Which, listen, let me just throw this out there. As the woman, I don't even think that this is a conversation that you should be bringing up, because after so many months and there is no title initiated by him, y'all ain't nothing. If you have to go to him because there is uncertainty in your heart and in your gut about who you are, y'all ain't nothing. And now it's up to you to actually move on or to continue on his program of nothingness. And I'm totally not saying do not go along with the man's plan. I am saying do not go along with the man's plan that doesn't have plans with you in his plans. If you're not a part of his plan, don't go along with his plan. Don't continue to be just his situationship. Don't continue to be his convenience for the day. And then, as I mentioned last time, 10 years, you give a decade of your diggity dog on life, only for him to, y'all break up for whatever reason. And then he's married within the next year. I've seen this happen time and time again. So don't go along with anybody's program that does not have a plan with you in it. I digress. The cost of your silence. It's going to cost you something by just staying quiet. It's going to cost you something by just going along with his program. It's going to cost you a season or seasons that you can never get back. It's going to cost you feeling guilty. It's going to cost. Listen, I was listening to I can't think of her name right now. Taryn something. It's a celebrity. I can't think of her name, her last name. Anyway, she was talking about a completely different topic, but essentially she was talking about how she was going along with someone else's program and how she has so many regrets in her life because the things that she really wants, which is a family, which is a husband, which is children, she does not have any of those things. She went on to talk about other things, but I really want to point this out because a lot of times we think that just because we're showing up and we're being the ride or die and we're giving out all of this wifey energy that we're going to be chosen. As I mentioned before, the man already knows what box he has put you in when he meets you based off of how you are showing up. He might have had a thought when he met you, but the more that he talks to you, he's either going to say, yes, I was right to put her in this box, or I probably need to rethink this. But it is really quick. It doesn't take a really long time. Even if he's never giving you the answer that he has never given you is the answer. If you're asking him, what are we? And he doesn't give you the answer, that is the answer. You're nothing. If you're asking him when you're going to meet the family or friends and he doesn't give you the answer, that is the answer. You're probably never going to meet them. Like, we have to really get out of these fantasies and see people for who they are and how they're showing up, and stop blaming the other party, i.e. the partner, for your life turning out one way or another, because now you have the information. And once you have the information, you have to stop blaming it on the other person, because that's not taking accountability for your life. That's not taking accountability for your actions. That's not taking accountability for your choices. You are choosing to stay in a situationship that is not healthy for you. It is not progressing your life. It is not progressing the two of you. And just because you're spending time with that person, it does not mean that the two of you are progressing together. Let's talk about the hope trap. Hope is very powerful. It is. It can make a lot of things and people continue to go forward just by the hope. This happened before and I got out of this thing. It could keep you going. So hope is very powerful, but hope without evidence can be harmful. Okay, so let me just tell you about this rat experiment. And you may have heard this before, but there's this rat experiment where they had put rats in water. And the first set of rats, they just let them drown, right? They let them drown. The rats couldn't get out, whatever. And it was only for like a couple minutes. They drowned, okay? The next set of rats that they put into this water, just before they were getting ready to drown, they picked them up. They took them out of the water. They dried them off. They fed them. They allowed them to chill out for a minute. I forgot how long the minute was. Let's just say 12 hours. They allowed them to just kind of be. Then they put them back in the water because the experiment was to see how hope is playing a part in their survival. This set of rats swam for, if I'm not mistaken, it was just under 72 hours, just because they had that hope that they would be saved again. This is the same in your relationship. If there is no evidence given that he has ever helped you in a way to help pull you out of the water per se, if there's no evidence of that, he's always let you drown. He's always let the ball fall. He's never helped you to recover. There is no evidence to say that he is for you. Then why are you wasting your time with this person? Why are you keep giving only to be taken, and then disappointed when your needs are not met? Take accountability that you are doing this to yourself. I love you. Nobody has told you this, but there is a price to your patience. There is a price to you just waiting. And that price could be your self-betrayal. Your price could be you figuratively being the rat in the water that just gives up and drowns. Can't keep hoping that he's going to get himself together. Do not confuse his potential with his patterns. If the pattern is that you keep reaching out, keep asking for help, but he's never around, like he never answers or calls back days later when the crisis is over, or you get a chance to actually share said crisis with him and he's never able to help you. And I'm not just talking about monetary. Monetary is one thing, like giving you money to help you fix the problem. That's one thing. But can he give you suggestions? Maybe he don't have the money to help you, but can he give you suggestions? Can he send you to his person or his people that have helped him in the past? Is he able to help you in some way to get back on your feet? If the pattern has shown he's never been there for you in that way, or when you do get a chance to ask him about or get his feedback, i.e. his help or something like that, and he still drops the ball, he ain't for you. He ain't for you. And it's not to say that he's a bad person. You just have to recognize when a person is for you and when a person is not for you. It doesn't mean that he's a horrible person because he doesn't want to stand up for you in that way. It's just he ain't for you. And so why keep wasting your time on somebody that's not for you? Why keep giving your energy to someone that is not for you? I recognized this a long time ago. I only want to be in rooms with people that want me in rooms with them. I only want to be in rooms with people that are actually feeding into me. It doesn't mean that they can't critique me, but by and large, it has to be more giving of positivity towards me with us in our relationship. This is friendships. This is familial relationships, and absolutely partnerships. Anybody can get thrown to the side. That's where I'm at because I'm totally about my peace. You see this gray hair? It's not up here just for the play. It's not up here just for the play. It's up here because this is where my wisdom, this is where my discernment, this is where I'm not allow those patterns to keep replaying over and over again. These are my choices, the things that I want in my life. And if you're not in my life for a reason, it's because something is not sitting right with me when it comes to you. And I had to make the choice to stay with your BS or move on and feel at ease with my own. And I choose my own and the ease. That's where you have to be at. That's where you have to be at. Sometimes we confuse loyalty with love. Black women in particular are often praised for being that ride or die. We're often praised for being that ride or die. But at what cost? Are you giving everything again to this man who has yet to show up for you in that way? You're his ride or die. But I want you to ask yourself this: is he your ride or die? Has he introduced you to his people? Has there been a situation where somebody was talking bad about you and he came to your defense? Even if he didn't agree with what was being said, he might have had a conversation with you later on about said topic, but in front of everybody, he had your all the way back. True love does not require self-eraser to prove loyalty, meaning you ain't got to get rid of your own self in order to be loved on and accepted into. Sometimes we're staying despite the broken promises over and over again because leaving feels disloyal. And that's disloyal to who? Disloyal to yourself, disloyal to him. Who are you being disloyal to by choosing you, by leaving, by making room for your real man that's supposed to be coming up in here, in your face, in your space, helping you, serving you, you serving him, y'all building together, y'all talking about life, and not only just talking about and planning the goals, you're actually taking steps toward reaching said goals together. Behavioral research shows loss aversion, which is the fear of losing what you have, is twice as strong as the desire to gain something better. 60% of women report staying longer in relationships out of obligation, not desire. 60%. I can't fathom that. That's more than 50% of women that are reporting this. So I'm sure the number is higher, but these are people that's reporting it, that they're staying longer in relationships out of obligation, not desire. Why? Your time is going to cost you something. Your time is you losing yourself by staying there. Your time is your self-esteem crashing every day because of the things that you're deciding and choosing to put up with. The situationship that you're choosing to stay in, and or the relationship, because maybe you have the title, but you're deciding, you're choosing to stay in a relationship that is harmful to your health, that is harmful to your mental, that is harmful to your spiritual, that is harmful to your financial. One relationship that I was in, it was detrimental to my financial. And halfway through that relationship, I noticed the pattern. And I'm saying halfway because it's me looking back on it, right? Halfway through the relationship, I noticed the pattern where I was always giving. And I'm totally, if we are doing this thing together, it's a we thing because it's not necessarily my money, even though, yes, I'm making the money that I'm helping you with. Yes, I get that. But if it's a we, it's a we. But that's me, right? So halfway through, I noticed that it was me as always the giver, and he was always the taker. And one day I had to just wake the hell up, and I just made a clear decision. I wasn't going to be the giver no more. Guess how long that relationship lasts? It didn't. But I made a conscious decision because I wanted to see, was it just monetary, or was there some other things that were going on? When we start paying attention, we can't just jump off the bridge because we see one thing. I wanted to collect my data, just like I mentioned to you. Collect your data so you can make an informed decision when it's time for you to walk away and or stop doing the thing that is crushing your soul. What I noticed about that particular relationship was that my bank account was depreciating instead of appreciating. It was decreasing at a rapid rate instead of increasing. You're supposed to be helping me add to my life, add to my bank account, not depleting because you're here. That waiting gonna cost you something. Let's talk about the role of fear in the waiting. I've heard this time and time again where there is such a fear, specifically coming from women, because they don't want to keep starting over. So they stay stuck in that loveless relationship. Not only out of obligation, because here's that time. I spent so much time with this person. I've given them 7 years. I'm giving them 5 years. I'm giving them 10 years. I've given them 20 years. But all of it was wasted time, energy, and effort, because the result is still the same. Whether you prolong it the 5 years, prolong it the decade, prolong it the 2 decades, the outcome is the same. Breakup or divorce. The outcome is still the same, where you're no longer with this person. So why not end that sooner than later? Don't stay there out of obligation. Break the cycle. Don't be a part of the 60% that are staying because of obligation. Be the 40% that is like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to stay longer than I feel is necessary, because I've given too much time, because I don't want to start over, because who gonna want me now I have X amount of kids. I've heard that too. A man ain't gonna want you after 3, 4, 5 kids. Yes, he will. Listen, I've had evidence for that too. My stepdad has been in my life for as long as I can remember. And honestly, I only know he's my stepdad because they told me he was. That's how long he's been in my life, since I was a little tyke. I'm saying all that because my mama had 7 kids when them two started a relationship. They weren't married yet. When they started a relationship, she had 7 kids. So your 3 kids, there's a man out there that wants you with 3 kids. There's a man that wants you with 5 kids. There's a man that just want you. It doesn't matter the amount of kids that you have. Again, and I've seen it more than one time, but I know firsthand, secondhand, because I was a child. So I know secondhand, but I was able to see it. Loved all of us. Don't let nobody put that in your head that nobody's going to love you because of the amount of kids that you have. Don't do that to yourself. That's their fear. Don't let somebody else's fear be your fear. If it's your time to walk away for whatever your reasoning is, don't let you stay there because of the number of children that you have with this other person. Because the truth of the matter is, you're not helping the children that are in that relationship with you, that are seeing all the toxicity and will repeat the same generational curses that you are displaying in front of them. Or they'll go to the opposite extreme and be the opposite of who you are, and still shutting down and not allowing anybody into their lives. Don't think staying helps. I remember my sister, the sister that I'm speaking about has now passed away, rest her soul. And I remember my sister was getting ready to divorce her husband. They never did get to the divorce part, but I remember this one line where she was talking to her child, who was a grown adult at this time. And she was telling him, hey, you mean your dad is getting divorced and whatever. And I know that they talked about more than that, but essentially my nephew's response was, it's about time, Mom. Now, again, they still never made it to the divorce before she passed away. But hearing one of your children say it's about time, children know way more than we give them credit for about our relationships, about our marriages, especially the children that are in the same home. We could pretend, we could try to hide things. They know when you are not right. They know when the two of you are off kilter. They know when y'all are placating in front of them. Your waiting is costing you something. Is your waiting costing your children the potential life that they will have based off seeing your life? This fear creates these emotional handcuffs, which keeps you there. This is disguised as patience. As I mentioned before, maybe your example about the years being there is I invested 5 years. I can't start over now. Yes, you can. You still breathing. You can start over. It's just a matter of taking that fear out of it. It's not to say that some things aren't going to be hard and there's some other things that you wanted to do. And there's a lot of death that comes with the ending of a relationship, because there is the death of the partnership that you got to think about, right? There's the death of the in-laws, especially if you had a great relationship with them. Even if you didn't, there's the death of the in-law. And I'm specifically saying the ones that affect you in a way like, man, I don't want to lose them that way. Right? There's the death of the potential of where you thought this relationship and what the two of you were going to build together, that dies because you're no longer together. There could be the death of what you thought your child or children were going to experience by coming from the two parent home. So there's a lot of death that comes from the ending of a relationship. And I totally get it. I firsthand understand that. But let's talk about what you gain after you've gone through your grief process, right? What you gain is clarity. What you gain is peace. What you gain is your joy. What you gain is your happiness. What you gain is you back front and center. Front and center. The waiting is going to cost you something. Lower self-esteem the more that you stay around. Confidence is shot the longer you stay around. As I mentioned, your finances could be shot the longer that you stay around. Your mental, you being sick constantly, like that was another thing that I had to deal with. I didn't know how to a correlation or a connection, which is just the common cold. How often are you sick by just being in this relationship? I remember I was sick all the time, and it really baffled me because I was never a sickly child. So I'm like, why am I always sick in this marriage? It was costing me being sick all the time. Left the marriage. Sickness is only every once in a while. Present day, only every once in a while. Peace. There is a price to be paid with your patience, with your time. The emotional toll of the limbo. Living in uncertainty keeps your nervous system on high alert. That constant waiting produces stress, it produces anxiety, and it erodes your self-worth. Like maybe your thing could be where you're checking your phone obsessively, feeling rejected every time it doesn't ring or he doesn't answer a text or anything of the above. Sis, boundaries are love of self. Reframing waiting as your wisdom is only going to help you. There are times when waiting is healthy. There are times when it is not. Sis, waiting can be wisdom, but waiting without clarity is self-betrayal. And you deserve better than living in limbo. I mean, it's just the truth. So if this conversation has hit home, if you ever wondered, why do I keep finding myself waiting on love? Why do I settle for uncertainty when my heart craves clarity? Then it's time to dig deeper. Take my free quiz, What's Blocking You from Being Soft in Love? It'll show you the hidden patterns keeping you stuck and how to break free so you can have the love that you truly deserve.